Let's do this. Good morning, and welcome to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold.
Oh, hell yes.
This is the show where we talk about everything.
What the hell?
Well, almost. From today's news, culture, entertainment, real life, real people, and the stories everybody's talking about. And no, we don't do it in some tiny glass bubble. We do it the only way we know how. Real and completely unleashed.
Fire the hole, fire the hole, fire the hole.
So lean in and let's go right now.
Give me a hell yeah.
All right, good morning. Good morning. It is 6:34 in the morning. It is Wednesday, August 19th, and the year is 2026. My name is Daryl Arnold. Big birthday week for, let's see, I got sons with birthday, daughter with birthday, myself with birthday, friends with birthdays. It is a big August birthday month for all the Leos. And then, of course, at the end of the month for all the, quote, Virgos. So it's going to be a big weekend. Yes, it is. It's going to be a huge weekend. So you want to get involved in all that, stick around. We're going to be talking about the birthday weekend. We're going to be talking about everything, almost. It is unleashed, uninhibited. It is unapologetic. It is the Unleashed Media and Talk show with Daryl Arnold. You can find everything at darylarnold.us. darylarnold.us if you want the podcast, of course. All the players are available on that website, or you can go Apple, Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio. You know, so many places to choose your podcast, Amazon, etc. And we're doing really good over there. So thanks for all the listeners. 104.3 FM as well locally. And all of you on social media. Hello, good morning. Wake up. It is midweek. Hump day. Another freaking hot one. What in the hell? Another hot one. But we will make it. It is August. It is summertime in Mississippi where we do the show. And one thing we have here is heat in the summer. And two things. And they both start with an H. Humidity. Yes. Humidity. So again, thanks for joining me on this day. And we've been able to identify $230 plus million in fraud in this country since they started doing this. And that's only been, 4 to 6 months ago when J.D. Vance became the fraud czar and they started really investigating this. Blows my mind, y'all.
We have been able to identify $230 billion of fraud just since the fraud task force was set up. This effort will fundamentally always have a limitation unless our colleagues in the House and the Senate are working with us.
First, I just want to thank President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance for this initiative on fighting fraud.
Allowing fraud to run rampant in the United States of America is a slap in the face to hardworking Americans.
Every single dollar that goes to a fraudster is a dollar that cannot go to a hungry child. So there are real victims of these horrible crimes.
We're getting after it. The Trump administration is trying to find not only who's doing it, but then prosecute those people. They should be put in jail. Get the money back and put them in jail. Fraud is
put them in jail, not only get the money back. And I'm sorry, it is 230 billion with a B, not million. My bad. But that is the point. The point is massive fraud has been eliminated. Keep going, keep going, keep going. That's what I say. Oh my God. And also, God bless all of y'all doing that. That is a devious scam going on against the American people. And it takes people like all of those people that are involved with the anti-fraud to dig down deep and really, really bust all this open, okay? Really. Lots of comments on that, of course. But the biggest one is arrest these people, please. And, you know, I'm not saying they're not going to or they haven't been doing, but make more examples publicly about this. Because the more public you make an example, the better shot they're not going to do it anymore. They're not going to do it anymore. And my text line is 601-918-8409, 601-918-8409. Reason I mention it is because I just got a text saying, Daryl, I'm not here to argue about, you know, politics. I'm just hoping that all of these people get busted, no matter what side of the aisle they're on. That's true. That is one thing that should be. It's not always, but it should be bipartisan and everyone should agree. Everyone should agree that scamming our country that you live in, that I reside in, is just not cool, all right? Not cool. Anyway, that's just another great example of how when you start a dedicated fraud task force that is involved in all scams across the wonderful United States of America, people who actually give a damn. Of course, none of the Democrats, not even none, zero, 100% flat zero, showed up for any of the fraud meetings, investigations, and or hearings. Go figure, right? Go figure. They're too busy worried about I'm tricky. I'm tricky. Too worried about being their newest freaking DSA superstar. Superstar. And also, you always have to give out a big shot to Nick Shirley, this young man. He is a young man for constantly building and building and building upon all these scammers, making it easier for the big fraud investigators to do their job. To do their job. Now, the next question is, but sir, J.D. Vance, what is their punishment? I think it would raise morale. I do too, as well. This is a comment. But I do think it would raise morale in the country of America to see everyone prosecuted, all the big ones. I know you can't do everyone, but all the big ones prosecuted in public. In public. But I wasn't even talking about that this morning. It just popped up when I walked through the door. We do it live here and we talk about everything almost. It's an opinion-based show, my opinion, in your opinion. When you're listening and when you're texting me at 601-918-8409, it's your opinion too. Or on social media or on any of the channels that we offer. We're also live streaming right now on Facebook and YouTube. So many ways to listen now or when you wake up today. Or when you wake up today. Marco Rubio explaining, some of the criticisms of communism sounds good in theory, but it, obviously has never worked. And the people that are running around now, because I spent this past weekend just looking, absorbing information, the people running around now thinking that communism, socialism will work. And it has worked in the past, but they cannot produce one single, and I do mean they cannot produce one single country that socialism/communism has worked in peace. Of course you have it. But are those people in peace? Are those people free? Hell no.
Criticisms you sometimes hear of communism, for example, is that it sounds good in theory, but it never works in practice. That's actually not true. Communism does not sound good in theory. The world it envisions for all of us is small, flat, gray, leveled of all exception, drained of all that is good and noble in the human soul. The world it envisions is a world without courage, a world without creativity or ambition, a world without heroes or glory or great causes to strive towards, a world without miracles, without myths, without men who rise above the rest to do incredible and extraordinary things. And the world communism envisions is a world without God. For these architects of revolutionary violence, the towering achievement of our civilization, for them, it's an unbearable humiliation, a reminder of what they cannot do, and a reminder of what they cannot be.
Amen, brother. Destroy. It destroys. It destroys. Our uneducated people out there. I'm not just going to talk about the youth today because people have talked about them enough. But they don't understand about Mao and China's deal. They don't understand about bread lines. They don't understand about any of that in Russia. Communism paints a terrible story, and ignorant people accept it without question and without research. That's what we're going to talk about for a second here. About communism painting a terrible story in this country. And ignorant people, and I don't mean dumb or stupid, ignorant, accept it without any questions and without any research. And the key part of that phrase is really without any research. If you had a paper to do in school before they had cheating, like Google, like AI, you would do your research. Even if it was from one of those red Britannia encyclopedias, you would still do your research. So, whether you're young, old, or in between, communism is painting a terrible story right now, socialism on this country. And ignorant people, again, are accepting that without any questions, without any concerns, without any freaking research. That's what really and truly they're doing. So I say what Mark Rubio just said, who's, by the way, doing a great job. Fact or fiction? It is fact. He's not talking in games. He's not talking in code. He's talking in reality, ladies and gentlemen, reality. Mark Rubio, let's use that for example, his family. Where in the hell do you think they're from? Cuba? What's Cuba? A failed communist state country. A failed communist country. Completely failed. With straight communism, it started out as a great little place. a great little place. It was ruined by socialist communist leader. And it's never, ever recovered, ladies and gentlemen. Is that what you want? I would think you'd want more faith, more Christian values, God, country, family, and most of all, freedom. Freedom of socialist communist leaders who think they can tell you what to do with your life. They can exclude and include you in whatever they want to with big government and with basically communism. Social democracy is what they're calling it. It's behind, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland. They will argue saying that, hey, well, this is a thriving, high growth, free market economy, but they're not. They're telling you the truth because they run your life. They dismantle everything that has freedom in it and disguise it. It's just a communist cycle that's trying to really get inside the United States of America. That's what's going on, the communist cycle. The Karl Marx, the Salowinski, all the names we talk about. There's a first generation Cuban that texts me from right here in Mississippi, believe it or not. No names requested, and that's fine. Saying that his family came to this country believing in the freedom, opportunity, and the American dream. And that's what they've had. And he went on to say, I will never take those blessings for granted. And good for you, sir. That's right. He said, I am proud to defend the American values and make this nation exceptional. I'm also proud of my Cuban roots, but I'm not proud of what the country became. Through what? Socialism and communism. Wow. Exactly. Socialism makes freedom conditional. I want y'all to remember that. Write that down. Put that in your little iPhone or your Android. But socialism makes your rights conditional. There are big, huge cases going on right now for gun owners. All kind of stuff. They are always coming after us. Always be ready, be prepared, because guess what? They're coming. They are coming. Anything they can possibly do is that. Anything they can possibly do. It's just, we're going to talk a little bit about this before the first break, and then we're going to come back and talk about it in a little detail. We're also working on getting a couple of people on this show that are really, really, really into all this. But the Second Amendment is coming under fire, and what gun owners need to know is it's back in the spotlight, for one thing. And you say, what do you mean back in the spotlight? Well, the Second Amendment is back in the spotlight, and several major developments could have a long-term consequence or plural consequences for American gun owners. The Constitution says that, quote, The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not, and that's a capital N-O-T, be infringed. Okay? And while the Supreme Court has established that this protects an individual right to possess firearms, the fight today may be over, but how far the government can go in restricting that right is under fire and under question once again in this country. Once again in this country. This keeps happening. This keeps happening. It raises more important questions like about whether some long-standing federal firearm regulations can survive the Supreme Court's modern, quote, Second Amendment test. You know, it's different now, y'all. It's different. We live in a different country. The Justice Department has created a process through which certain people with prior convictions, felons, can seek restoration of their federal firearm rights, which brings to a much bigger constitutional debate that's going on in the country now. Should someone convicted of a, quote, nonviolent, and I'm asking you, I'm not telling you, by the way. Okay, I'm not telling you it's my opinion, your opinion, or anybody else's, but I am asking you, should someone convicted of a nonviolent felony decades ago, like really, because I know people like that decades and decades and decades ago, who either served their sentence, served their probation, restitution, whatever it is they serve, parole, whatever, stayed out of trouble, no more, arrest or anything. Should they automatically lose the Second Amendment rights for life? Question mark. For life. Courts around this whole country right now are wrestling with questions exactly like this. Exactly. They're also raising questions and concerns, and they're always talking about this whole concealed carry thing that's been going on forever now. Because if it was up to the liberals, the Democrat Party, and especially the DSA Party, all these guns would be taken away from anyone, even for protection. They would. They would. It's not simply about whether Americans have an individual right to own firearms. The Supreme Court is, in my opinion, and in actual common sense opinion, the Supreme Court has already answered that. Okay? They've already answered that for all the kooks out there that still believe in that crap. They've already answered that. And you can keep trying and trying and trying to pretend like that it's a gun's fault when somebody else, as in a human being, whether they're from this country or not, pulls that trigger. That's whose fault, quote, it is, end quote. My name is Daryl Arnold. This is the Unleashed, Uninhibited, Unapologetic show. And we do call it Unleashed Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold, Darrell. And thank you for tuning in as always. We'll be right back.
Every program in the Next ecosystem is designed to meet people where they are and take them where they want to go, in technology and in life. Mississippi Coding Academies is a nonprofit that bridges the digital divide, delivering accessible, affordable, and life-changing technology education across the globe. Funded by grants and donations that are truly making an impact at home and abroad. Learn coding, cybersecurity, and so much more with locations around the state of Mississippi. Go to mscoding.org today and go to your next level.
Don't forget to check out Cypress Point Resort. Memories are made at Cypress Point. Close to home, yet it feels miles away. At Cypress Point, you can truly get away from it all. You can step back to a simpler time. yet enjoy all the amenities of today. Cameron's Garage is a sports bar and music venue. There's a lunch buffet every day inside Cypress Point. They also have a steakhouse and the tavern. The tavern is a quaint little place with live music Wednesday through Saturday. And of course, you've got the safari park and petting zoo. Don't forget about all the event halls, including the wedding chapel and so much more. That's Cypress Point Resort, located at 874 Hollybush Road, Brandon, Mississippi. Contact them at 601-829-1101 or at cypresspointms.com.
Support for these programs comes from Electrical Solutions and Services in Pearl, Mississippi, providing licensed electrical contracting services throughout Mississippi for commercial, industrial, and residential projects. Also installations, system upgrades, troubleshooting, and emergency electrical repairs. As certified installers for Tesla, charging systems, and a certified dealer for Generac backup power solutions, their team delivers safe, code-compliant workmanship with a commitment to precision and integrity. They are veteran-owned. Their phone number is 769-572-7597.
Welcome back to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold. And yes, he's still unapologetic.
And yes, it's still Wednesday morning, top of the hour, 7 a.m. hour Central Time. Speaking of that Central Time thing, listen, they've already voted on it in the House. The Senate, of course, took their little nifty vacation without passing the Save America Act, which is, I could talk about that for hour after hour. But the Senate needs to vote on the daylight savings thing, too. Are we changing the freaking time or what? Come on, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate. Man, it was primary election day in many states yesterday. Many states. Very proud that Byron Donald took care of business in Florida as the governor candidate for Florida because, of course, Ron DeSantis is on his last term, so couldn't have a better person, in my opinion, than Byron Donald standing in and showing up and showing out. He blew out his competition in the primary, wasn't even close. They called that election really quick. Other Trump-endorsed candidates took out Republicans who were either A, riding the fence, not real Republicans, or with Republicans who had a lot of baggage, a lot of scammy, if that's a word, little scammy baggage going on, and they got taken out too. And it is unleashed, uninhibited, and unapologetic around him. So, good morning to Melanie, Cindy, Fred, Sarami in the house this morning, David Hall in the house this morning, Angie, Pat Phillips. Good morning, sir. Phase 4, the band. Good morning. Good morning. So, few minutes after 7 a.m. Central Time right now, early in the morning. So, we had started this show off talking about the fraud in this country and how good of a job the actual fraud let me rephrase it, anti-fraud team was doing. But it appears, though, we were just talking about election results last night. It appears Republicans will lose a special election over in Butler County, Pennsylvania, by 88 votes. Now, this is BS. We need to look into this, and they are looking into it. They're looking into that for voter fraud recount situation. But it's so close, but this is crazy, okay? They're asking voters to check your voter status. Needs to be a forensic audit for every close race like this. It's time to really get out and dig in deep and look into this kind of stuff. It's ridiculous when it's something like that. Okay? The Senate should pay attention. Going back to what we're just talking about, the Senate, you guys, when they continue to fail to pass voter ID, and they imported in the Biden administration and before unlimited third world immigrants, it demoralizes the base voters, first of all. Second of all, how in the hell will we know if these people are eligible to vote if we do not have an ID? How? What exactly was the ground game there in Butler County, Pennsylvania, for the quote conservative party? Or did they just not have one? They didn't have one. How do Republicans lose in Butler County? I mean, this is a red, double, triple red county. It's either fraud, sheer incompetence. Either way, though, either way, the GOP is responsible for doing what? They're responsible for running an actual candidate with integrity, and they're responsible for hitting the streets, knocking on doors, putting up signs, doing the rest, y'all. Come on now. I'm sure 88 votes would have been easy to come by if the Senate actually followed through on their campaign promise, because Trump did. He followed through. He's harassed them every day about it. Every day. But I bet right there in Pennsylvania, right here in Mississippi, right in Texas, right in any state that you can possibly think of, that the Democrats were knocking on doors and notifying the registered Democrat voters to get out and vote, while the red team didn't really even realize there was a special election. That's a major problem. That is a major, major problem. I say it's time for a recount and a forensic audit. Probably won't happen. Gordon over in Butler County said, hey, it's time for a recount. No way that many leftists moved into Butler County. Lived here my whole life. Don't ever see those people. Well, it doesn't take many people to win an election if the other side sits at home. If the other side sits on their butts at home and doesn't go out and vote, then that's what we get. And that's what's been happening lately. Crazy, but true. And then over in Idaho at, quote, Widaho, and yes, I'm being honest, starts with a W. This story is breaking the internet, of course. Widaho Roasters Coffee House. And that's like Idaho, but it's W-Y. Widaho Roasters Coffee House I'll keep naming them. Idaho Roasters Coffee House. Of course, they're in Idaho. Kicked out a campaign for 4AFC group led by a 16-year-old kid. They compared these people who were actually weren't even discussing anything remotely compared to this. The KKK, even though Planned Parenthood's founder, Margaret Sanger, spoke up for the KKK. You can't make this stuff up, people. They paid for their food. They weren't actually protesting, by the way, or disrupting. Now, make that make sense. They were simply sitting together at the quote Idaho, having a peaceful conversation. Were kicked out because they were pro-life, first of all, and working to protect babies. And I believe the son had on a Trump hat or something, It's always Trump's fault. But this, my friends, is how delusional the Democrats are. First of all, they're very delusional when it comes to abortion. Now, they do have the right to believe what they want, and it is his business that he makes real clear on this audio video clip. Yes, it is your business, and you can, not allow people in there. But you have made yourself look like what? The one thing that all of you guys call fascists, all of you guys call bigots, racist, or whatever other word that y'all call everybody else. Seems to be that's what you are over at Idaho Coffee Company. Unreal, isn't it? And again, this guy has the right to do whatever the hell he wants in his coffee shop.
But I said, I don't want this group meeting here.
Sir, we're just meeting for the first meeting.
I don't care. Go to the public library. This is my place of business.
But I thought this was like, we come here all the time. We just already bought our food and stuff.
That's fine.
But you're kicking us out of your... We're just
Did I make it very clear that I did not want you here? Yeah, I did a lot of work to get people on the ballot so women would have the right to choose in the state of Idaho. And this is something I do not support, nor does my wife, and it's our business. So we have that choice.
So you're kicking us out. You're kicking out me and Bear, who's starting this group, and you're going to kick us out.
It's like if the KKK asked to meet here, I would say no.
So you think pro-lifers are like the KKK? Is that what you're saying?
In my world, it's the same. It's the same sort of concept.
That is so beyond hard. Pro-lifers, those who advocate for the dignity of every human life, even children in the womb. You're saying we are like the KKK.
I've made my point clear. I asked you guys not to meet here.
Hey.
Wow, the KKK. Because a 16-year-old, quote, little boy and his mom started a group. By the way, they didn't even protest. They were just sitting there having coffee at Idaho Roasters Coffee House. Got kicked out. And again, this guy can kick anybody out for any reason. I get it. I get it. I do. I get it. But to call them the same as the KKK, to call them the same as a racist known hate group, give me a freaking break. I hope nobody goes to that place. Nobody. We have to stop these kind of people. And that's kind of crazy considering he's a Democrat who, and guess what? The Democrat Party's actually who started the KKK. Do your research, punk. Oh, my God. I guess pro-choice doesn't include actual life. I mean, really? Did he refund her money? Just asking. Just asking. Oh, my goodness. It is his right. I know. I'm a conservative, and yes, this is right. But it's tacky, deceitful, devilish, and downright being an asshole to throw in a KKK comment involved with it. You don't have to do all that. You don't have to do all that. You know, and some people, especially the good folks that I know, believe in the opinion of you open a business, you can't discriminate against anyone, actually, whether it's their color, religious affiliation, gender, or whatever. Now, if the business is private and not open to the public, that's different. But if it's open to the public, isn't this what the whole civil rights laws were about? Crazy, right? Crazy. I got a text from Shane. He said, if for some odd reason I find myself in Idaho, Daryl, near this establishment, I will not step on their doorstep, even if there's not a coffee shop within 100 miles when I need a cup of coffee. Yeah, well, good for you. Good for standing up. Good for standing up. I wouldn't pay for the food if he kicked me out either, by the way. Somebody text. Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't either. He better not have charged you after all that. Really. Should not. Anyway, it's just, crazy, y'all. All of this stuff is going on every day from woke 1.0 to woke 100.9, wherever we are now. Wherever we are, they're saying it's woke 2.0 now, whatever. Crazy, right? If you look on Google, I'm looking now. Idaho, let this company know your thoughts on his extreme TDS and murdering babies and against cause law. I mean, yeah, the main comment I have about this company once again falls into the old trap of typical insanity TDS. Of course it does. Of course it does. And I see Helen, one of the residents of where he is right now in Idaho. She said, quote, Jim brought which is the owner of Idaho Roasters in Driggs, DRIGGS, Idaho, originally grew up in Minnesota and South Dakota and previously ran a business in the Twin Cities. Oh my God. Over in Minnesota and then moving to Idaho. Looks like Jim brought his crappy politics to Idaho. It does look like that, Helen. It does. He does. And for all of them saying and screaming at me right now in my inbox about they have the right to deny service. They do. But people also have the right to boycott his ass too. Just know that. We're moving on. Moving on. Another wokester, another person with a mentally described Trump derangement syndrome plus. But speaking of Trump, violent crime has fallen across America with robberies down about 20% and murders down close to 20%. And the former Chicago, this is just in Chicago, not nationwide. It's down way more than that nationwide. We're talking about Chicago, Illinois right now. Police Superintendent and FBI veteran Jody Weiss tells the national news desk about this and about the strong partnerships that are now going on since Trump entered office between federal and local law enforcement. So I would think they want to keep this going. I would think they would definitely want to keep this going, you know, in my opinion.
Just 1 year drop in nearly a century. Since last year, robberies are down nearly 19%. The murder rate's down 18%. In fact, now it's at its lowest level in 70 years. President Trump is calling it a law and order win, pointing to an administration that backs the blue and puts violent criminals on notice. Well, joining us now is former Chicago Police Superintendent and 22-year FBI veteran Jody Weiss, who served in the Bureau's Violent Crime and Fugitive Unit. Good morning to you, Jody. Always good to see you, sir.
You too, Jan.
The left spent years putting police on the defense while working families paid the price for these soft on crime policies. And now we have the biggest 1 year drop in violent crime in 9 decades. We're talking 90 years. What do these numbers, Jody, say about the difference it makes when a president proudly backs the blue, puts victims first, and restores consequences for violent criminals?
Small screen ads equals small screen attention.
Yep. Those are true numbers right there, ladies and gentlemen. Those are true numbers in the crime-ridden Chicago, Illinois, with the useless mayor there, the useless far left ideology of that mayor, for example, who doesn't support ICE, who hates ICE, because he doesn't want anybody to do their job and, deport illegal aliens. Whether they've done crimes or not, they're still here illegally. Okay, they're not going to jail, they're going back home. They're not going to jail, they're going back to their country. And then they can choose whether they want to come in here legally or not legally. Not legally. Okay? That's so crazy to me. But it is what it is, y'all. And that's what's happening in this country. My name is Daryl Arnold. It is Unleashed, Uninhibited, Unapologetic Wednesday, August 19th. And the year's 2026. The birthday week is happening. As we come back from the break, we're going to break down the live music, the live events, and other things going on out at Cypress Point Resort at cypresspointms.com and at Cypress Point MS on Facebook. We'll be right back. My name is Daryl Arnold.
If you or a loved one need reliable medical equipment, trust a name Mississippi has depended on for over 20 years. Mobility Medical, located right in Flowood, is your local family-owned source for mobility and home healthcare solutions. From power wheelchairs and scooters to lift chairs that help you relax in comfort, they've got everything you need to stay independent and live better every day. Need help at home? Mobility Medical offers hospital beds, tables, and essential supplies, and more. What sets them apart? It's their personalized service. Their experienced team works one-on-one with you to find the right equipment. Serving all of Mississippi and beyond with in-store support and delivery options available. Mobility Medical, helping you move better, live better, and stay independent. Visit them today in Flowood or call to learn more.
We all make promises, big and small.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I do solemnly swear
to help you when you're in need,
to be considerate and caring, to be your loving, faithful friend,
partner,
child, parent, neighbor.
One of our most important commitments is to support our nation's veterans. Learn how you can help a veteran going through a difficult time by visiting maketheconnection.net.
Welcome back to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold. And yes, he's still unapologetic.
All right, welcome back. It is the Unleashed, Uninhibited, Unapologetic radio show, podcast, and worldwide live stream. My name is Daryl Arnold. It's 7:24 in the morning Central Time. And again, like I said, mid-August, hot August, August 19th, ladies and gentlemen. I was going to give you all the live music rundown in my world, in my birthday world week, and also in the Cypress Point Resort, Cameron's Garage, the Tavern week, to let y'all know what's happening, what the happenings are, what's going on. First of all, tonight we are bringing back the 2-song Showdown Throwdown. It's 2 songs. We invite you, bring your guitar and mic, or just show up. We are allowing artists to perform 2 songs, and the customers, the customers, not the staff, but the customers, they are presented with a ballot and they vote for you. Okay, that's what they do. They vote for you. And the grand prize is $300. Second place, $50 tabs, or third place, $25. It was super fun last time. I want to see all the solo or duo artists out there tonight, which is Wednesday, August 19th. That happens at the Cameron's Garage location. Let's talk about what else is going on. Bike night. A huge bike night tomorrow, because those tickets are still going on for that big bad cooler and all the rest of the stuff they're giving away. But also bike night tomorrow night is Joey Massey and Chris Sanders. Unbelievable. It's going to be a big night too. They're traveling in from other places. That is bike night at Cameron's Garage tomorrow, August 20th, 7 to 11-ish. On Friday night, it is the Dirt Deacons, ladies and gentlemen. Great band, hometown friends of mine, back from the Holmes County, Yazoo County, all that area. Amazing. That's August 21, this Friday, at Cameron's Garage. And then on Saturday night, it's my birthday party. I've been talking about it. You've been hearing about it, okay? You even had freaking Mark McGrath invite you from Sugar Ray. It's all going down Saturday, August 22nd, which is my actual birthday, is the 22nd. Cool. Thomas Kane, ladies and gentlemen. This band is completely awesome. They're playing up and down the Florida, Alabama, Mississippi coastline, and of course, Louisiana and many more states. That is Thomas Kane. Check it out at Thomas Kane on Facebook and the rest of the social channels. This is going to be a big party, y'all. Want to see you there. Let's move over to the Tavern. Wind down Wednesday tonight at the Tavern. Tomorrow night, Thursday, Josh Jolly, a little live music 6 to 9. He's a singer of Lariat. Friday night is the one and only Bubba Wingfield. That's right. Bubba will be in the Tavern on Friday, August 21, 6:30 to 9:30. And Saturday night is Shane Weems. That is the singer for Slowhand, the Conway Tribute Band, the Conway Twitty Tribute Band. You don't want to miss that. Shane is awesome. Saturday night, August 22nd, in the Tavern. On Friday night, let's back up. It's also Melanie's birthday that works at Cypress Point. We all know her. She supports every band. She supports every musician. So it's Melanie's birthday on August 21st, which is Friday night. You don't want to miss that either. That's what's going on. That is what's going on. We had just listened to the Chicago police superintendent and the FBI veteran talking about the crime drop, the most in history. Let's say this, the most in 99 decades, 90 years, the most in 9 decades. Okay. That's crazy. That is insane. You would also think, one term of President Donald Trump, the first time. Donald Trump should have won the second time, and Donald Trump won the third time. You would think these CNN people would learn, but they never learn. They actually never learn. Why? I don't know. I don't know. But they never learn. Trump has to shut them down, and he's really good at it. And it keeps happening. It just keeps happening. Because they're rude, you guys. They don't have any manners. They're entitled little pricks and prickolas. Okay? They're entitled punks. It's just what in the hell happens, okay? It's what happens. They can't stand it. But yet they still do it. So they can get their little 1 second of fame after Trump annihilates them. Saying, don't know if I've ever seen such this is me saying, I don't know if I've ever seen such an interruptive, rude group of reporters in any other administration. Of course you haven't. And of course you never will. Because it's Trump. They have the TDS to the max.
Quiet. You're very disrespectful in front of this young man. Okay? Don't you find her disrespectful? He understands. Quiet. Who are you with?
I'm with CNN.
Fake news. You're fake news. You're loud. You're a loud, boisterous person. You're fake news. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. You're a fake reporter, and you report fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President, is there enough?
Oh my God. Be quiet. Be quiet. You're fake news. Your reporters continue to lie, deceive, and seek gotcha questions. This is going out to CNN. I don't blame Trump one bit. Trump one bit at all. Nobody actually watches CNN anymore because of the biased reporting. That is the problem. That is the problem. Trump said, shh, quiet. Who are you with? CNN. Fake news, you're loud, a boisterous person. You're fake news. Be quiet, and you're a fake reporter. I would just shut my mouth. Okay? That's what I would do. CNN has become an enemy of the people for years now. Where have you guys been? It's all news. They're a bogus news network and have been for decades. Okay, so pro-life activists arrested outside the Alamo free speech zone. On August 15th, a few days ago, Texas Department of Public Safety officers arrested 2 activists for criminal trespass after they carried signs outside the Alamo's free speech zone on the plaza. Well, I mean, if it's a free speech zone, why couldn't they? I don't get it. But the attorney, C.J. Grissom, called the arrest unlawful and unconstitutional. Sounds about right to me. Critics like Army veteran Sarah Fields expressed heartbreak, while supporters emphasized the need for order at this busy landmark. I mean, what? This is unlawfully and unconstitutionally arrested for peacefully carrying a sign. This is BS. If you can see the video, it's just downright BS. Okay? Really. Regardless of what side you're on. Honestly, this is one of the only times I will take up for the other side or this side. And somebody just made a comment to me, and it just bam. It's one of those comments where you have to bring it up and talk about it. But, you know, the headline of that story is standing in a free speech zone. Okay. Let me say that again. The headline of that story is they were standing in a free speech zone. But I'm sorry, y'all. What in the hell? Bro, this United States of America, the entire place is a free speech zone. That was the comment. Man, you nailed it, DW. You nailed it. The entire United States is supposed to be a free speech zone. This country's in deep trouble, ladies and gentlemen. The anti-America, anti-Christian folks are taking strongholds in parts of Texas. It's just the truth. It's unrecognizable for the United States of America, but it is happening. It is happening. At some point, though, the police are going to have to decide what side they're on. This is not Western Europe. This is America. This is what's happening. Okay? It's a public historical spot, y'all, not a place for people to start trouble like this. I remember when Ozzy Osbourne took a piss on the Alamo. That was a huge deal back then. But these people only had a sign. Not even a big sign, by the way, looking at the video. Wow. Wow. What about Penn State? What the hell's going on over there with the big cocaine dealers? Police say that the Penn State fraternity pledges, they weren't just trying to get into the frat. They were allegedly cutting and packaging cocaine as part of a major, huge drug trafficking operation on the campus there. More than a dozen fraternity brothers were arrested, with investigators allegedly busting two fraternity houses which served as drug hubs for roughly a little more than 2 years. Prosecutors say the operation included trips to New York to buy, at one time, 2 pounds of cocaine for $22,000 ahead of a football game. Somebody was getting a little coked out. Okay. And that's not funny, but it is true. It is true. So if anybody thinks that this kind of stuff's still not happening, you better check yourself. You better check yourself. Because of course it is. Of course it is. Allegedly, these folks went to college for just that, to run a cocaine business. And they did really good until they didn't. Because most coke dealers do really good until they don't, which means they get caught killed or jailed. Or just completely out of money, or somebody robs them. There's so many different ways that situation can go wrong and go bad. Just plenty of ways. That's crazy, but it's true. It's absolutely 100% true.
Dozen fraternity brothers were all arrested as part of this huge drug trafficking ring. Listen to this. It was actually the pledges of the fraternity, the younger guys who were trying to get in, according to police, that were cutting and packaging the cocaine, which was then distributed all around campus. Investigators say this was going on for about 2 years on the Penn State campus, specifically at 2 fraternity houses they were using as drug hubs, according to the police. Prosecutors say that these fraternity brothers were buying pounds and pounds of cocaine. One time, according to police, they drove all the way to New York and bought 2 pounds for $22,000 and then brought it back to campus right ahead of a football game. Out of everyone that was arrested, prosecutors say these were the ringleaders: Thomas Robinson of Pennsylvania and Agostino Abatiello of New York. Investigators say Abatiello was the largest student cocaine dealer on that campus. And it wasn't just the frat brothers that were arrested during the investigation. Police actually arrested one of their dads, who they say tried to interfere with the investigation.
Good Lord, they got daddy in there too now. They got daddy in there too, saying, wait a minute. This kind of stuff's been going on for years and years, though, y'all. Okay? Campus frat houses with a cocaine trafficking ring, as they want to call it, while adults look the other way. They weren't actually pledging, though, were they? No, I don't think so. They were packaging product for the big game. The ugly truth, y'all. The ugly truth of how life works sometimes. Earlier, we talked about the largest drop in violent crime in American history, but I don't hear any of the mainstream media actually reporting that. Seriously. It's that sickening, y'all. TDS is that sickening. It really is. It's very, very sick, y'all. Minnesota election trainers were caught on tape. We played a whole bunch of that this past. If you want to hear all that, you can check out this past Monday's episode on the podcast or YouTube. But the election trainers caught on tape. Do not ask to see any kind of ID. These people are supposed to be trainers. We have to get a hold of ourselves. Okay? We have to really and truly get a hold of ourselves here. Well, we're going to lose everything. Not just a little bit, but everything. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. For years and years, though, the corrupt politicians have been saying that Social Security was going to dry up. Even my grandparents, my grandmother, after my grandfather passed away, Social Security will dry up before I turned 21, which was many, many, many years ago. Turns out it's because they've been stealing all the freaking money. Okay? That's what's been happening. Why is it that citizens can work for 40 years plus and can't afford to retire, but politicians can work for 4 short years, and retire for life? What about that? I'm waiting on an answer. I'm waiting on an answer for that one. Waiting on an answer. So let's say that there's not any investments, any of these shady investments, which they are, because look at Benny Thompson from Mississippi, makes $174,000 a year, which is a ton of money anyway for someone that has no common sense. And, but let's just say, we'll forget about the other millions and millions of dollars he's made off of his investments and off the backs of his constituents. We'll leave all that out. We'll just go over some basic stuff, like a president. Their salary's around $450,000 to $500,000 a year, even though Trump doesn't take his. But if he did, they still get that $450,000, $500,000 a year for life, even if they're only there 4 years. Understand? Follow me now. House Senate members, 174 at the present time, 175 grand. They get it for life. For life. Even if they're only there, just a few years or whatever, 4 years. 2 years, actually. Salary of the Speaker of the House, a flat, at the moment, 225 grand a year. I mean, that's crazy. Senate Majority Leader, like Mr. John Thune, for example, $195,000 for life. Really? Yeah, really. Average salary of a soldier deployed, about 38 to 42 grand a year. That's it. Average income for seniors on Social Security. Now, this is where I want to start swinging. Irritating, so irritating. The average income for seniors on Social Security is about $12,000 to $15,000 a year. A year. In other words, the monthly salary for John Thune or someone like him. It's funny, right? Not really. Not really funny, y'all. People pay Social Security, their hard-earned money, because it's supposed to be for retirement. But instead, it's used for people that don't even have jobs anymore. At all. It's a government program. It's a promise that people who paid into the system can count on support when they need it. I mean, that is the reason it was started, allegedly. Allegedly. Goes back to the old saying, people can work 40 hours, 40 years, still not afford retirement. These politicians on the Hill, 5 years and retire for life. I don't know about you, but does that seem fair? Does that seem even remotely fair when they're not even doing what their constituents want them to do, like freaking saving America and introducing the Voter Save America Act? The most popular thing out there, and they can't do that. You can't do that. All eyes are still on Mississippi, too, right where I live, about the major controversy unfolding still in the tiny delta town of Benoit, Mississippi. Population under 400. A jihad wearing an, judge was appointed there by Mayor Linda Carter. The appointment immediately drew national attention, as it should. The new question has emerged about the mayor, too. Public records reportedly show Mayor Carter claims a, quote, homestead exemption on her home in Wynne, Arkansas. Arkansas voter registration lists her at the address in Arkansas. Available records tie her recent activity to Arkansas. Mississippi law requires a mayor to be a qualified elector who actually resides in the town. Yeah, wouldn't that make sense? Mississippi Secretary of State Michael Watson said, quote, "We are officially looking into this. He has publicly confirmed his office is reviewing the voter registration issue. We're doing our homework." Well, the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking, Mississippi. We're waiting on your response, sir. We're waiting on your response. Where is that response? We're still waiting, by the way, and that was posted 6 days ago. 6 days ago. Well, I know one thing. All eyes are on you right now and on all state officials as this controversy has not been wrapped up at all. So I, along with everyone else, should keep our eyes on Mississippi, period. It's very important, y'all. Very important. Very important. A left-wing billionaire, more dangerous than George Soros. Ooh. Is he? Yes, actually. We have kept our eyes on George Soros for many years. And don't get me wrong, he is evil. He is rich. And he is behind a lot of the radical communism crap and all the rest of the far left stuff. But over at Blaze TV, this gentleman named Nick that does a show there exposes the figure that's really behind the radical communism even more than George Soros. And it's very important that everybody knows this, because the left-wing billionaire has got plenty of money, okay? Plenty.
Everybody has heard of George Soros, right?
Yeah.
There is another billionaire, effectively, who is a just full-blown Marxist in bed with the CCP, funding effectively like an entire propaganda campaign to like destroy the United States from within. The source of money for a lot of these groups is a guy who you've probably never heard of.
Yeah, Neville Singham.
His name is Neville Singham. He's not a progressive. He's a communist. And he has this organization that then flows money into 3 different organizations, that then flows money into 6 different organizations. And eventually she's mapped it out to 58 different leftist organizations in 5 different regions. And then it finally flows back into 11 more. He is worse than George Soros. The whole point of George Soros is he's trying to dissolve conflict with his Open Society Foundation.
He's a Karl Popper Open Society. I mean, he's kind of this utopianist.
He's a progressive liberal.
Yeah.
This guy is a Marxist with a Maoist bent to him.
George Soros is a very, very powerful, in some cases, useful idiot.
This is foreign propaganda to subvert the U.S. that's coming from the CCP.
Yeah.
Well, here's something you can do. You can strip them of their tax-exempt status. How about we start with that?
Yeah. I dream about what could be accomplished if we just cut off taxpayer-supported funding for these organizations. We got a small taste of it with a perfect example. Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood lost federal funding for 1 year and started closing down clinics all over the country. But apparently that's too much to ask for conservatives.
Take away their money. Take away their money. Take away their tax-exempt status, for Christ's sake. That's how you hit them where it hurts, ladies and gentlemen. That's how. No other way. You hit them where it hurts. And how the money flows from Shanghai and all these places. Well, those two gentlemen just told you. I don't even have to. They told you exactly how that happens. Crazy, right? Right. You know what else is crazy? The dollar is failing. The dollar is becoming useless paper. I'm not here to try to sell you anything, so calm down. I will say this, though. If you don't have something in precious metals, mainly gold, silver, platinum, whatever, it's just foolish. Foolish. This is a report, no obligation, none of that, no sales, none of it. Just a report. You just download the report. SwissAmerica.com/unleashed. That's it. SwissAmerica.com/unleashed. Just diversify, ladies and gentlemen. We live in a crazy country. We'll be right back.
Don't forget to check out Cypress Point Resort. Memories are made at Cypress Point. Close to home, yet it feels miles away. At Cypress Point, you can truly get away from it all. You can step back to a simpler time, yet enjoy all the amenities of today. Cameron's Garage is a sports bar and music venue. There's a lunch buffet every day inside Cypress Point. They also have a steakhouse and the tavern. The tavern is a quaint little place with live music Wednesday through Saturday. And of course, you've got the safari park and petting zoo. Don't forget about all the event halls, including the wedding chapel and so much more. That's Cypress Point Resort, located at 874 Hollybush Road, Brandon, Mississippi. Contact them at 601-829-1101 or at cypresspointms.com.
Every program in the Next ecosystem is designed to meet people where they are and take them where they want to go, in technology and in life. Mississippi Coding Academies is a nonprofit that bridges the digital divide, delivering accessible, affordable, and life-changing technology education across the globe. Funded by grants and donations that are truly making an impact at home and abroad. Learn coding, cybersecurity, and so much more with locations around the state of Mississippi. Go to mscoding.org today and go to your next level.
Welcome back to the Unleashed Media and Talk Show with Daryl Arnold. And yes, he's still unapologetic.
Oh yeah, we're rolling up to the top of the hour quickly. How time flies. It's official, though. The Democrat Socialists of America announced their platform to overthrow the United States Constitution. If this doesn't terrify you, it should piss you off. Vote red at all counts. That's all I got to say. Vote red at all counts. Because this is what's going on in the United States of America. They're talking about it publicly and on camera. You don't have to even believe me anymore because they will tell you. They will tell you straight up. Period.
Stands in the way of their planned revolution as these resurfaced comments give Republicans a new midterm attack line.
The two things that we're famous for is our commitment to a program and our hatred of the United States Constitution. And what the program does is it gives us a roadmap to revolution, and it gives us the obstacle that we finally will have to get over to have a revolution, which is the United States Constitution, the basis of the United States government.
All right. So with that, here now, what?
All right. So with that, the DSA leader admittedly hating the United States Constitution. It's time to remove them all, in my opinion. Get them the hell out of here. We've been saying this for a long time on this show and other shows. The Really Big Show, Frank and Kim. We've all been saying it. Many have tried, but we need to arrest these people, get them out. Y'all need to start having a clue how to vote extremely. Vote process extremely. How can this be happening in the country? Because it is. It's no longer the Republicans versus the Democrats, ladies and gentlemen. It is the patriots versus the communists. And that's how I'm going to end it today. The patriots versus the communists. Middle finger to all the communists. My name is Daryl Arnold. The show is Unleash Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold. Also, DarylArnold.us, DARRELL, DarylArnold.us. It pulls up all the players for you so you don't have to go out searching. They're all there. YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Pandora, and so much more. Just so much more. Then, of course, the whole show is on YouTube at Unleash Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold, and on Facebook, Daryl Arnold MS. My name is Daryl, and it is top of the hour. You've been listening to Unleash Media and Talk with Daryl Arnold. See ya.
Thank you all for tuning in. Hashtag unfiltered, hashtag unapologetic, America First Talk at its best, where we party the right way. See you next time, or else.